Hi, everybody. Welcome to Discover College Soccer. Today, I'm lucky enough to be joined by Coach Brdarski from St. Bonaventure. Welcome, Coach.
Good morning, Matt. How are you today?
Doing well, thanks. Hope everything's going well up there in New York.
Yeah, just getting
Er,
prepared for preseason to start tomorrow.
oh wow, tomorrow. Well, we'll try not to take up too much of your time, but I know there's a lot of people out there who are interested in what that process is like. So, as preseason is about ready to start, let's talk about recruiting and getting those rookies in and how you guys go about doing that. So, when as a Division I school, when are you generally starting to identify and talk to players? I mean, obviously you can't talk to them before that magic June 15th date, but when are you really starting to put names on lists?
Well, so for us, we do things I think a little bit differently than most programs. We're always watching games. We're always watching players. We're watching practices. We're keeping tabs, connecting with coaches and everything. But obviously, in those 4 years of high school to playing club soccer, a lot changes in those 4 years. One as a player, two as just a person, just in terms of development changes and everything. So we are not in any rush, to start the process. We're gonna again watch as many games as we can, but it's not till that junior year that we really start thinking about, okay, what kind of fit does this person bring to our team? So again, early recruiting, freshman, sophomore years, it's more again than just watching games. It's not really doing anything too crazy and serious. We actually not to be funny about this, but like we finished our 22 class about a week and a half ago. We were continuing to get some different things and some changes, and obviously, I think in the last few years, COVID has kind of pivoted things in different ways where you're dealing with maybe some roster situations that you didn't have to in the past. But again, for us, it's a little bit later in the game, and we like that. All right, we like the fact that when you're looking at a player, that you can actually give them a really good authentic view of how they're going to be able to be when they get to college. Very few players I think you can watch 2-3 years out and really be able to understand like how they're going to fit in to the grand scheme of things when they enter the college game. So like for us, recruiting late in your junior year and even in your senior year, you're able to really tell them like, hey, this is who our team is. This is where we see you fitting in. This is how we feel you'll add to the process and everything. And all of that information is very direct, and it's a great conversation. It's not hypotheticals or, hey, if your speed of play gets a little bit better, or if you get a little bit quicker, XYZ. It's none of that stuff. Most of the things that the player has, and obviously there'll be still some growth, but you'll be able to pinpoint it all together and kind of connect the dots for them. And that to me is, when we talk about what are the biggest issues and what are the biggest problems, I think it's exactly that. The fact that we're giving information and it's not the most up to date, it's not the most accurate. And so there's a lot of guessing, and people are making decisions based on those answers, and then finding out that it doesn't come to fruition for whatever the reason might be.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned watching games. What tournaments are kind of on your must-see TV list every year? Where do you guys like to go to scout those games?
I think it's kind of different, man. Maybe it's because it's gotten to a point where after about 25 years, you start to say, I want to go somewhere else. Like I want to see a different surrounding, a different setting. I don't want to feel like I'm in the rat race all the time. Obviously I think the most important part to recruiting is video. No matter what, whether it's highlights, whether it's a full game. I think that's been one of the most positive recruiting changes that there's been in the last 10 years, because every email that you get has video now linked with it, and you're able to again see it right away and say, is this a fit? Do I want to see more, or is this not a good fit for us and the player? So I think that's probably been the biggest thing, where Players are now getting, I think, a little bit more creative too in the way that they're sending video. It's not just, me scoring 4 goals and that's it. It's training video. It's them playing, and you're able to see, some of these questions that you might have. You're actually, being able to see this, throughout that video that you're watching. But in terms of in tournaments, like that's the biggest thing I would say in the next 12 months. We're going to events that we've never gone to before, and we still go to watch games. And again, I don't think that's common, but we'll go to a high school game. We'll go to just a club game, just a one-off. Because I think it allows you to focus in on exactly what you're trying to do, and allows you to give the information that you need to give. I just think a little bit more personal in terms of the touch and everything. And that's who we are. That's who our program is. That's who our university is. The community that we have, it's that connection that we are able to get. So I wouldn't say there's, one tournament where it's like, yeah, you got to get out to XYZ, event and everything. Because I think everybody now has read the same book, and, you can say, oh, this is the regional final of X, and that's supposed to mean something to you and everything like that,
it's a big alphabet soup out there these days.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of weird because I do like the old days where, teams used to play for a state cup, and you could say, okay, well, I won my state, and then, you would continue to move on, and everything. But those days I think are long gone. And obviously, leagues are such a important part now to, a lot of the club mix and everything. But for us, we don't care who you play for. We don't care what the letters mean. We don't care what league you're in. For us, it's about the connection. Do you bring something different to our team, to our program that changes who we are and makes us better? That's the most important. And we'll see you in whatever setting. Again, we've made decisions based on video too. And I know some coaches have gotten burned, sometimes by doing that. But, one of the things after the video is you're following it up with phone calls. You're talking with different people. You're trying to get, more feedback. And again, I think it's worked for us so far.
Well, you mentioned different avenues. How about camps? How does that fit in, whether they're your own camps, or does your staff work other camps to see players? How does that fit in?
Yeah. So we, we do our own ID camp here. I think we've also supported other camps in the region and the area in terms of, sometimes you'll have 5 or 6 schools that get together to host at one facility and everything. Obviously, also too is you do summer camps, and anytime you're at a summer camp, you're always hoping, you're always looking for players, and so I think that's an important part to it. I think the biggest misconception though is when you get that email or you get that letter that says, oh, I got invited to this camp, and just I am a father. I have 2 daughters, and a little bit of how that works. There's a lot different. There's a lot of difference, in someone saying, hey, we're having this camp. I really want you to be there, and they're telling you why they want you to be there, et cetera, versus the run of the mill, hey, I invited you to the camp along with another 1,200 other girls to come to our camp, and we're gonna just have as many people as we possibly can. That part I don't think is too personal. At our camp that we run here, we try to keep the numbers to under 40, and I think we've always had it hover right around 30, so that we're able to get to know every single kid. We're able to to connect with them. We're able to give them feedback, on how they can be a better player, and sometimes I think that's the challenge for parents and kids. You go to a camp and you walk away, and did you speak to the coaching staff? Do they know your name? Do they know where you came from? And I think it's almost like 50-50 whether or not that really happens or not. So but I think camps are important, and again, it's the part that I think is important about it is you're getting on that campus. So if I come see you play out in Timbuktu, and we like you, and we invite you, you still have to like campus. But I think a clinic or a camp, it kind of takes that all away. Like you're there, we're watching you play soccer, you're seeing the school, kind of, it's all, all said and done. Like, a lot of questions have been answered because of that opportunity, so that you're able to move on maybe quicker down the road and everything. So, but I think there's a great value in camps and how they fit into the process.
So one last recruiting question is,
Sure.
how does international players and the transfer portal kind of fit into the grand scheme of things as well?
Now, do we have 2 hours to talk about this stuff?
in your best 90 seconds.
Yeah. So obviously, I think everybody has their own philosophy on international recruiting. One of the things that has actually been prevalent with us, in the last 2 years, it's changed. Our university has kind of always been a university where you have American players and you have Canadian players. Like, that's always kind of been a stronghold on recruiting patterns. But I think in the last 2 years for us, we've slowly started recruiting internationally. And I mean, I'll say, obviously, I'm a big proponent of it because of the idea that it just introduces different concepts, different ideas, adds to your culture. One of the great things, our goalkeeper last year, when she came back from break, brought all of her teammates chocolate from Europe, and it was like, this was a big deal. And all of them were like, well, we've never had anything like this before. But that cultural adjustment, and whether it's learning a different language, learning something new about a different person, I think it all adds to a team and to the chemistry of the group and everything. So this year we have a couple additional, but we don't have a roster that's made up of international players. We have a mix. Sometimes you'll hear that saying from coaches where they talk about, they have an area in which they recruit around their campus. It could be a radius of 3, 4, 5, 6 hours. We don't have that. So we have players from all over the United States. We have a university that, though is small, has a great reputation. So I think it speaks for itself a lot of times when we're recruiting kids from all over the United States. And even that brings a culture aspect to it. Are you calling it soda or are you calling it pop? Are you just those little nuances. In terms of the transfer portal, that was the second part of that question, right? So it's interesting because you'll hear a lot of people say, I don't like it, and then you'll look at the roster and it looks like they like it, based on the roster. One of the things that I appreciate about it is, 10 years ago, you didn't know if somebody was transferring or not. You had no shot at those players unless they contacted you, or unless you heard through the grapevine of something, or maybe you had a relationship prior to that. Now it's completely different, because I think puts the student athlete in the spotlight to a certain extent, because their name's been put out there and they've been, everybody knows that they're looking for a different school. So there's that part to it. I think that it helps out smaller schools, and that's not just at the Division I level, but at the Division II, Division III, JUCO, and NAIA. It helps out all those schools, but it's also the idea of, where some people will think, well, there's a loyalty thing. I just don't subscribe to that. No one has problems with coaches going and finding better jobs or leaving and going to different places. Yet a student athlete doing that is wrong. I also don't think it's a proven science where, you're definitely going to get something. And I'm stealing Gino Ariema's words here. But when you look at that list, not every one of those kids goes on to a different school. There are kids that don't get to that opportunity or end up going back, for whatever the reason might be. So again, it's not a proven science, but I like the fact that it does help student athletes. And when I say help, that first 2 or 3 days you go on the transfer portal, you probably get 40, 50, 60 emails right away.
Right.
And in today's day and age where, most of the games are being uploaded. It's very easy to see video immediately on that player and whether or not they played or not, and did they have an impact of some kind. And then the next part becomes, I think some coaches kind of shy away from the idea of, well, this is a disgruntled person, and again, I also don't sign up to that belief. There's, you might change your major. You might, again, because of early recruiting, you might have been told, hey, you're going to be one of 7, one of 8, recruits coming in. You turn out to be one of 15, and that position, that spot isn't there. And I do understand, like, the idea that players, want to play, so, maybe that role wasn't described to them in that process. So, the transfer portal, I understand. If we start talking about NIL, though, that's where it gets way
Yeah,
above my head.
we're not going to worry about that today.
Perfect,
That's yeah.
perfect, perfect.
Let's actually talk a little bit more about the school, right? Some people may not be familiar with St. Bonaventure, so if besides what I find clicking around the website, give me the lowdown, dirty. What are some of the great things about your school?
So, it's described in a lot of different ways. There's a lot of different words that describe our community. That is, without a doubt, everything about our university community. We believe in giving back and serving others, and we believe in the idea that a community is everything. So, for example, we don't have athletic dorms right now, because we feel like that takes away from community. But the easiest way to explain it is this: Matt, if I put you in a t-shirt right now, okay, and you go to your local airport, okay, you're going to get 3 to 4 to 5 to 6 people that are going to come up to you and just start talking to you. They have no clue who you are. All right. They have no idea what you do or where you do things and everything like that. And they don't even know that you have no connection whatsoever to St. Bonaventure at all. But because they see that logo that identifies with our great community that we have, they will start talking to you immediately. And I've gotten in trouble. I've never missed a flight yet, but it's gotten close, where I've talked to a Bonnie who again, I hadn't known beforehand, and we're just catching up and trying to connect. Do you know so-and-so? Do you know so-and-so? Have you been back to campus? So it's such a unique place, because of the people. If people step on our campus and you're looking for the biggest buildings or the shiniest buildings, it's just not that place. It's our bloodline is about relationships, and it's about people, and it's about connections, and we do such a good job, I think, of supporting each other here and there. I got a chance to go to a basketball game a couple of years back, and we played in Dayton, and we were playing against UCLA. All right, so the idea is, all right, here we go, St. Bonaventure, UCLA. You couldn't ask for a better basketball game, right? In terms of, John Wooden and, some of
Yeah.
these things. So, it's a 3.5, 4 hour drive down for me that day. I stopped for gas twice. Both times I stopped, gas stations filled with the brown and white. All right. Just Bonaventure people. And again, as soon as they looked out, if your car had a New York license plate, honking, cheering, yelling, screaming, it was incredible. And then you get to the arena, and there were maybe 400, 500 UCLA fans. And then you look up, and there's just so many fans from St. Bonaventure. We're this little school of less than 2,000 students, one of the small schools in Division I. So obviously, that comes with small class sizes, relationships with your professors, getting that education that's very personal. But then the other side to that is, you have this family that's going to look after you, and it acts so much bigger than probably what it really is. So and that happened again this year. We were in the NIT semifinals, and each of the teams probably had somewhere between 500 to 800 fans. All right, and then there was 9,500 St. Bonaventure University fans. The Madison Square Garden was taken over by our fan base and everything. So community, family, togetherness, relationships, that's what our school is made of. It's still to this day, like, any of our players, there are players that I'd never recruited, that never played for me, who I've done things for, just because of the fact that, they put the jersey on. We're actually getting ready to celebrate our 40th year of a women's soccer program, and we've had some amazing people that have come through this program that have gone on to do great things, but they've put this program on their shoulders, and they've stayed in touch with us. And anytime we're in the area of someone, our alums are always reaching out to be a part of things and everything. And that to me is probably the most special thing. Like, this happened to us last year, where we get off the plane, and the girls are like, all right, what's the schedule? What are we doing? And it's like, hey, we're going to practice. We're going to probably get to the hotel. None of that stuff is important. Okay. We're going to visit one of our alums though, and her husband and their family. That's the most important thing, like that, relationship. And so, that's the big part. The second part is, kind of our location. Always people identify kind of with us, being in New York, you'll automatically think of, skyscrapers and traffic and all these other things. And we're completely on the opposite side of New York. It's beautiful. The Enchanted Mountains are right behind our soccer field. The Allegheny River runs right in front of there. Our campus is one of the most greenest campuses you've ever seen. It's pretty wide open. It's not, we don't look for a patch of grass and try to put a building there. It's the opposite. We're trying to conserve as much grass as possible. We're in the Guinness Book of World Records for the largest front lawn. These are, Mother Nature to us is important to us. And so, I think it's very unique when you see the types of people that come here from all different areas and all different walks of life, and they come here and they just talk about this experience that they had, being a part of this family, being in such a beautiful place, and then going on to get a degree and whatever else they want to do with their lives, and it's we laugh all the time because again of how we support each other. But like, if you ever turn on to ESPN, okay, you turn on to ESPN because you want to see scores, right? You want to find out what happened. I turn on to ESPN because of Adrian Wojciechowski. That's why I turn. I'm looking for a Woj bomb, not because of what's going on in the NBA, but because he's a Bonnie, and Chris LaPlaca, also another ESPN guy, and one of our softball players, who graduated from here, Renee, she also was there. So we support them. Tim Bontemps, like those are the ones that carry that shield of who we are, and and make it public as much as possible, who we are. So we're a small school. It's going to give you a great education, but more importantly, it's going to give you a family for forever. And we're always going to stick with each other through and through. And so people know that they can always come back to campus and kind of reminisce, and they'll know that somebody will always be here to help them out. I think those are the things, those are the values and character that you want in a place where you're working and everything.
Yeah. No, that's great. Well, let's talk a little bit more about the soccer side of things. If I was an incoming freshman, right? I'm coming in tomorrow, right? We got preseason starting, but once school starts, kind of give me, just really quickly a brief. What's a basic week look like in terms of when I'm waking up, when is training, when are my classes, what's a typical game cadence, that kind of thing?
Sure. So a fall week for us looks like this. Monday's our day off. So players and coaches, we don't see each other on Mondays, unless there was something that was going on outside of soccer or whatever it might be. As a staff, it's completely opposite. Obviously, we're going over the game film, and we're preparing for the week to kind of get things going and get things ready. Also, because Monday's our day off, that's the day where, as much as possible, we're trying to get our kids to take labs or any classes that they might need. We're trying to get them to do that on Mondays. Now, one of the things we're pretty focused on is we're a player centered base team. So we work our practice schedules around our kids. So we make suggestions, but we also know, because we're a small school, it might not always happen. So Monday, day off, big day for classes, recovery day, etc. Tuesday, Wednesday, we have training sessions along with Friday and Saturday. And then we play games on Thursdays and Sundays. That's what our conference does. Our practice schedule looks a little bit different. We have 4 days of practice. Tuesdays and Wednesdays are big days for us. Just kind of getting ready for that Thursday game. Friday's practice is the craziest of all the practices because some of our team is recovering. Some of our team is trying to get in a full training session to get fitness minutes in and keep their fitness levels high. So that's probably the toughest day is probably Friday because we'll have gotten done with a game the night before. Our staff will get in here pretty early. We usually get coffee and bagels, and then we just start as much as we can, looking at tape, looking at our GPS numbers, taking part in any of the load or the recovery things that we need to do, and start looking at all the minutes. And then Fridays usually is a big day for us for tape. So a lot of our girls will come in and watch film. And so one of the things I think that's unique about us and everything like that is we do whatever our players need. So if our players need some type of positive reinforcement, great. How do we get that for you? How do we do that for you? If some of our players want to be on the field for an extra hour, to get in some one-on-one time, we go ahead and do that. But it's again player centered. Like not every single one of our kids loves tape. Not every one of our kids is doing extra work on the field. But our staff is there to create and provide those opportunities. So that's a typical week for us that we kind of stick to for the most part. We usually have one or two buys, within our conference schedule. So there is a week where we get a full week of training, and I got to tell you, like that's my favorite week of the season. Like I love, I wish we had more time practicing. And again, we're not going to talk about any other models or anything else that's going on in men's or women's soccer. But that being said, like we love a full week of training to get ready for a game, especially in the middle of that conference schedule. It's helped us, quite a bit in the last few years. And again, it's that's the makeup. In the spring, in the fall, where everybody's geared towards winning games and doing whatever they can, serving their role of the team to help us win games. In the spring, it's completely opposite. It's all about individual development. So in the spring, everybody's getting to play. Everybody's getting an opportunity to get minutes. Everybody's trying to work on things that are things that they need to improve on as an individual player. Sometimes in the spring, we're introducing things that are new, or maybe a new position, maybe changing up something that we do as a team. But in the spring, it's also a pretty concrete schedule. We usually practice Monday through Friday. We give the girls the weekends off. And then, obviously we have our 5-game schedule that we play and everything, but that's what a typical year would look like for us. We have downtime, after we get done in November, we give our girls time off. It's more or less time away from us, not having a regimented schedule, not having, you have to do X, Y, Z. Do our girls take it? Some girls take 24 hours off. Some girls might take a week or two off, but a lot of times they're back there doing the things that they enjoy and getting in the workouts that they appreciate, and so, we're fully supportive of that, but we think it's important to have that downtime. I think that's, whether it's club soccer, high school soccer, college soccer, I think that's probably the worst thing about it is not having downtime where you're able to recover. Some coaches think of downtime being a few days, like, oh yeah, you got a couple of days off, and your body just needs, your mind, needs more than just that, so
For sure.
But that's what it looks like for us in
Okay.
the fall and the spring.
So, you mentioned, grabbing coffee and bagels with the staff. What does your staff look like in terms of everybody's roles? What kind of support staff does the athletic department offer as well? And just how does that all fit in?
Yeah. So our staff this year, so we just had some changes. We have a new coach that we just brought in. So we have a staff of 3 right now. And there's one of our staff members is actually with us right now. He was with us last year. His name is Taiki Oyama. He's from Japan, and we he, we've had a great relationship. If you've never watched a Premier League in Japanese, you're missing out on life. I'm just telling you. It's a great experience. But both Taiki and Zach, there's staff of three that are soccer coaches. We also have a sports performance coach. That's within that strength and development department. We have a full-time athletic trainer that's with us. We have an amazing academic coach, and she deserves a cape for all the things that she does for us. But her name's Sarah Walcott. She actually is an alum of our program, and she came on board last August, and she's been such a great person and supporter of our program. And then we also have an associate AD who works closely with our program. Monitors. We probably talk with our associate AD weekly, if not daily, to kind of keep in the loop. But that's kind of our main group of people that our girls will constantly see. One of the things that we benefit from is all the people that I just mentioned. We all have an office in the same building. So our athletic training, our locker room, all of those things right now are all in the same building. The only thing that isn't is our soccer field, and we literally just we walk 100 yards outside the building, and there's our field. So we're blessed with the locality of everybody being close and being able to communicate back and forth with everything. We do have a nutritionist who's here on our campus that our girls can meet with at any time, who works within athletics, along with two new members of our staff that talk in reference kind of mental health and sports psychology and everything. So and those are all, we've been blessed that in the last 5 years some really great additions have kind of come to our department, and a lot of those are things that I just mentioned just there. So
that's great. Do you have a set roster size that you try to hit every season when you're bringing kids in?
So kind of a magic number for us, I would say, is like 28 to 29. That's a magic number for us.
Yeah.
We have this year on our roster 31 players, and it helps us. I guess the biggest thing that we kind of look for is, can we go full field in practice every single day? And obviously you have injuries. We have a couple injuries coming in this season to some people. So even though our roster size is 31, and that's our family along with our coaches, I think we'll have 28 that are active the first practice day, and that fluctuates. One of the things that our staff tries to do are really conscientious about is monitoring load, recovery. We want every player to be able to have the opportunity and have the chance to be able to play and train and everything. So last year we were lucky that I think we started preseason with 28 players. By our last game, we still had 28 players that were active and still training at that time and everything. So and then again, kudos of that goes to a lot of the people that we work with that help out with that and everything. So yeah, that would be the magic number. Would we add another person if they help our team? For sure. Yeah.
Right. Sure.
So would I ever see our team get to 35, 40? No, I don't. And it just, I think for the long run, it's what's good for us and everything. So we just made that change maybe about 4 years ago. We had a smaller team at that time, and we were at around 24, 25, and it wasn't working because of injuries.
Yeah.
There were times where our whole coaching staff wasn't coaching; they were playing to be able to give that picture.
Aside, yeah.
Yeah, and I just don't think that that was best suited for our team and our players. Yeah. So that adjustment helped us greatly, and just being a little bit, some of these new tools that we have with GPS and being able to track load and these different things, I think that also has been a great help to our coaching staff to really to really be able to focus on, what is happening with each one of our players. And obviously each one of them are different, built differently, and then how we can support them and help them the best ways possible.
Yeah, makes sense. So, Coach, we've covered a lot of ground. I really appreciate your time. Don't want to take up too much of it. So, I always like to end these with one last question. That is, what didn't we talk about? What else would you want kids to know? Whether it's about the school, about the soccer side of things, about anything under the sun. The floor is yours.
Matt, I probably referenced my two daughters again. As a coach, I always think about my kids, and both my daughters are 10 and 8, so they're not at that recruiting age. But every time I speak, every time I talk, I always think, okay, well, if this was my daughter, at this point in this age, what would I say? And so, I really think, I hope that some people will understand what I'm saying and really be able to apply it. But the biggest issue that I have right now with college soccer is the idea that it's such a machine, that we allow, and from whatever perspective it comes from, this idea of just early commitments, and that college soccer and college scholarships are such a big talking point so early, in the years of high school, that it becomes, almost a distraction from what the sport is really about. Sport's about, learning these different, characteristics and values that are so important, with sports. And then, that idea of being a part of a team and being coachable, working with the coaching staff and growing as a player and everything like that, and taking care of that process. When we talk about process, we're usually not talking about development. We're talking about, recruiting. And that to me is kind of the sad part about it. I would love to see kids and families kind of delay things and wait on things and just allow things to be. And, when we talk about, there's horrible statistics that you can talk about where, with transfer rates, with, in part women's soccer, not being able to play beyond, your first year. And that all I attribute to the idea that, we're not doing the process right. We're not getting enough information. We're not investigating it enough. We're literally sometimes going on campuses for the first time and saying, oh, you love it. Oh, they're offering a scholarship. Great. Let's move on, Yeah. And it's so funny because you wouldn't do that with any other part of your life. Do you know what I mean? If you're going to go, if you go buy a car, you know what I mean? Like you're literally, looking and researching everything. You're contacting different people who have that car. You do, but someone offers you a college scholarship and it's like a lot of things go out the window, and it's just like, well, no, just take it because you don't know if you're going to get offered something else. And so, one of the things I would add to that is just that idea of like, I think parents should not be a part of the process. They should be a part of the support system of that individual. And so, being able to say, hey, I know you love this and everything like that, but, let's look at things. And I know that college coaches, I don't think they help in the process. I think sometimes you have coaches that'll say, hey, I need to know in 2 days. I need to know in a week. I need to know in 2 weeks, yes or no, and going back to one of the phrases you used is that list. Matt, I've never made a list in my life. Okay. Because I think every single individual is different from everybody else. Like I can find someone that can play soccer, maybe like you, but I can't find the person that has the same values, the same commitment, the same work rate, the same personality. You bring something different, than anybody else. And so I always tell, anybody that we're recruiting is, you're unique, and so if I'm telling you that you have a week, then maybe I do have a list, and I'm going to go down that list till someone says yes. And then going back to what I was saying earlier is, we recruited someone literally all the way up until 5 days ago. Well, why? We didn't give them a time limit. We told them we wanted pressure not to be a part of the process. We wanted them to make the right choice. And that probably is my closing thing. I think if players, parents, coaches, if it was all about making the right decision, let's get all the information together. All right. Let's take as much time as we need so that we're making the right choice and we're committed to that choice, right? I think the transfer portal wouldn't be as many student athletes as there is. And I think more people would be confident with what they were doing, versus, we're asking, freshmen to, sometimes make choices, even though they're not allowed to make those choices. And even though it's illegal to make those choices, but to make those choices in these secret talks and everything like that, when we don't really know, we don't have the magic ball to be able to say what's going to happen for them, 3 years down the road. And more importantly, what my team is going to look like 3 years down the road, So, we're getting ready to recruit 23s right now. And one of the things we're telling them is, I know exactly what our team is like. We're getting ready to coach them right now. We're able to give you a snapshot of exactly what we think of our team right now and what areas we need. But more importantly, you can also see our team play, to be able to do that. And so again, I think giving the right information, giving the best information, and not letting any of these outside factors, play a part in this, I think that's the most important thing. All right. And we talk all the time about mental health. Okay. And I think my daughters will be like this when they're 16 years old too. If I ask my daughters what they want for dinner, it will take a long time for me to get an answer. All right. Yet we're expecting them to make a decision about college like that right away at these young ages. And I just think we as, adults and respecting this journey and, respecting these individuals, and their mental health, we can help in this process, and we can really support them, versus doing the opposite. So, but I appreciate you giving me the time and opportunity. It was great to talk to you. And, if there's anything we can ever do to help out, let me know. But, look forward to hopefully seeing you somewhere down the road and,
Yeah.
and maybe at a game or so.
Absolutely. Love to get up and see campus. And if you're ever down at in Bradenton for either IMG Cup or any ECNL events down here, give me a shout. We'll grab a cup of coffee and I could show you around the Florida area here. But thanks, Coach. Really do appreciate it. Good luck with the season. Hopefully you guys can bring home that conference championship and we'll keep an eye on you. But really appreciate the time.
Sounds great, man. All the best. Take care.
Thanks.